Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Munson, Superintendent here in the Marshall Public School District. I'd like to welcome you to this edition, I guess, or segment of Tiger Talk Television. I've got a couple of special guests with me today, and we're going to talk about PBIS, which is something that's pretty widespread in our district. And I'm going to let you two introduce yourselves, and then we'll get right into the PBIS specifics. So go ahead.
Okay, my name is Abby Lisi, and I am the school counselor at Parkside Elementary here in Marshall.
And I am Darcy Love, and I am the principal at Parkside Elementary.
So I appreciate you being here. I know both of you are excited about PBIS at Parkside, and really I think as staff at all of our buildings are pretty excited about that. But what is PBIS? Let's tell anybody that's watching, either one of you, what PBIS is at Parkside. It stands for something, but talk about that a little bit, please.
Okay, so PBIS is really, it stands for Positive Behavior Intervention and Support. And so it looks a little different at each level. Our PBIS program is called Tiger Pride. Mm-hmm. And so really what that's all about is teaching, modeling, expecting, and reinforcing appropriate behavior in all areas of the school. And I would say really the goal of that is to just improve the school culture and really make that school environment just positive and safe and ready for kids to learn.
So here's maybe a tough question, I hope not, but the first thing that jumps out at me is the positive piece. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of times when we're talking about student conduct and behaviors, mm-hmm. we're kind of focusing on the negatives. Is the positive aspect of things a big part of this, would you say?
Well, absolutely. We really want to encourage and catch kids doing things that we would expect them to do to be successful in life. And so really just encouraging them to continue to do the good things that help them learn and are conducive to their learning. Absolutely, that's certainly something that we would want to continue to focus on.
Right, and that prevention aspect is really a key aspect of PBIS. I always share with our new staff and our staff who have been there for a long time that really behavior, we're investing in that positive behavior so that in the end we are buying back instructional time so we don't have to deal with the negative behavior and have consequences and all of those kinds of things.
Absolutely, super. So why is PBIS important? I mean, and then maybe a part of that question is how long have we had it at Parkside? How has it sort of evolved over the course of however many years? But maybe talk about that and then why it's important. And then obviously we'll get into what it looks like and so on and so forth.
Sure. Do you want to talk about why it's important, and I can talk about how it's evolved?
Sure. Well, I would say that why it is important is really, I mean, especially at this level too, I mean, kids are learning so many different things. Mm-hmm. And developmentally, a lot of these skills are very basic skills that will help them throughout their life. So it's, I mean, just as other instructional time like math and reading is important to help their learning, I think all of these other mm-hmm. skills are helpful to help. You know, it's just a foundational thing that we really think is important to have concrete for them to build the rest of their life off of. I mean, these are
right. Yeah. And it's such a critical and important time. You know, we're talking about 5, 6, and 7-year-olds, and so developmentally they're just learning a lot of those things. And so what better time than right now to give them those foundational skills so that you know, they're ready to keep going with that. And our journey has been this is our 3rd full year. Okay. Our first year, we kind of tried to do a lot of it on our own and just from what a lot of people knew and from others that had implemented it in the district. And we just didn't feel like we were getting very far with that. And so I applied for a grant through the state that provided some support and training. And so we started that last year with our team. Okay. And I think that we're you know, very close to fidelity in terms of those things that have to be implemented, you know, the makeup of our team and having those instructional practices in place and behavior expectations and processes and procedures. And so that's really what it helped us to do, was to provide that structure for implementing PBIS. So that's kind of our journey, and this year now we're just really trying to refine some of those things, refine how we're gathering our data and how we're sharing that and using that data, and then also expanding who we involve in our PBIS programs to parents and community and those things as well.
So third year, you mentioned a grant from the Minnesota Department of Education. Is this a statewide program? PBIS is statewide, that's what I thought, but I
Yep.
just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
And I think in our district, it looks a little bit different, kind of the same framework, maybe an expectations, checklist, whatever you want to call it, but it looks a little bit different in each building, and we're in our third year. So what are some examples? What are we doing at Parkside specifically with PBIS and sort of catching kids doing good things, reinforcing the positive behaviors? What does that look like?
Sure. So at the beginning of the year, that's always just super exciting. And so we have our New Year celebration. And so we greet the kids, and we have a tiger mascot. And so we really spend that first week really laying the foundation for some of those expectations. And so Miss Lisi and Miss Majusik, who is our social emotional learning teacher, myself, Mr. Gagner, we try to get into all of the classrooms and talk about PBIS and the expectations in the hallway, in the bathrooms, in the lunchroom, on the bus, at recess. And so again, just really laying that foundation and giving them just the groundwork for that. And then that's continually taught and reinforced throughout the year, those lessons, as far as what those expectations are. And then we try as much as we can to catch kids doing good things. And so I'll let Abby talk a little bit about our Tiger tickets and our drawings and celebrations.
Okay.
So every Thursday night, Friday morning, we do a random Tiger ticket drawing from what we have is called a Tiger Tower, where kids drop in their tickets that they receive throughout any part of the school, or we've just recently implemented tickets that they can earn on the playground. So we do a drawing, and the kids, we have about five students, or 5 tickets that are drawn per grade level, and then 5 for either the cafeteria or the bus.
Yep.
And their names are announced over the intercom, and the announcements on Friday morning. They come down to the office and they receive what we call the Tiger Sash, so that they get to sport all day on that Friday
Okay.
and just kind of walk around, serving as that role model of those positive behaviors that we, really encourage and reward them for exhibiting and showing at school. And then on that next Monday, we have the Tiger Pride song, and all those winners on that Friday come down on Monday morning and sing the school song over the intercom, and just welcome everybody back and encourage everybody to really continue to show that Tiger Pride and have a good week at school. So it is pretty well-rounded that way.
So when, in order for a student to earn a Tiger ticket, staff have to know what criteria, if you will, that a student can meet, like you said, on the playground, in the bathroom, in the hallways, on the bus, whatever. How do staff pick up on this? How do they learn? And obviously, I'm thinking that you've had staff involved in the PBIS team and whatnot, but how do we go about sharing that information with staff?
Yep. So we also do a reverse drawing for our staff. So we take the tickets from those that are in our Tiger Tower of Pride, where the kids have accumulated them, and on the ticket it says who the ticket was given by. And so the reverse drawing, we draw for staff members who have given those tickets, and then they get a special prize, and their name is on
Cool.
On the announcements, and we try to talk about Tiger Pride and the behavior tickets if we're having an area where we need some help in terms of maybe reteaching a skill, like we just talked about. The hallway was getting a little loud, so we just asked teachers to continue to reinforce, but also to maybe reteach some of those skills that we're expecting in that hallway. And our staff do a great job.
Yep.
I mean, we've had, we get Tiger tickets, that our tower is full every week. And so, and I think that teachers have seen, teachers, paras, bus drivers, everyone has seen what happens when you have those Tiger tickets out. All of a sudden, it's just instant, like, ooh, I could get a Tiger ticket.
Kids pay attention.
Yeah, they do. They really
Yep.
do. So.
And
Yeah.
we do have something that's called a behavior matrix that breaks down the Tiger Pride of being responsible, respectful, and safe. That really, I believe we distribute them to all the classroom teachers to help them incorporate that into, their classroom management and how they encourage students in the classroom that way too. Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to explain a little bit more about the details of the matrix. Yeah.
And those are really the three foundations of what takes place in the PBIS at Parkside. You mentioned the start of the year and trying to get in front of all the students, talk to them about this program, expectations. Is it an ongoing where there are lessons? What do those lessons look like? How often? Who teaches them?
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So Brittany Majusek, who is our social emotional learning teacher, she goes into our classrooms. We kind of switch things up. Kindergarten is every week. She gets into every kindergarten classroom, and then every other week for first and second grade.
Okay.
And then those lessons involve the PBIS and the Tiger Matrix. So she might talk about being a good friend on the playground and how that's being respectful, responsible, and safe. And so what those things look like throughout the school, and especially if there's areas where we might be struggling a little bit and need a little bit more reinforcement, she's able to kind of address those things.
Like you talked about with the hallway
Yep.
and getting louder and helping students understand what the expectations are there, and then hopefully catching them doing well, giving tickets out and things like that. Absolutely.
Yep.
What do kids think about it? What do kindergartners and first and second graders? You mentioned when they see the tickets, they get excited. What would they tell us about PBIS, Tiger Pride? What would they say?
I think they just love it. I mean, to them, it's like getting a little golden ticket. They just, I think that the foundation of that is they just really want adults to be proud of them, and they just eat it up. They love
do.
it. They love the celebrations, and they like to be rewarded and given the attention for the positive things that they're doing.
And it's not a lot of extrinsic rewards. I mean, it's a Tiger ticket, but it's things that are really, they get to wear a sash, but that sash means something. It represents something, and so it's not candy or that type of thing. And if you ask kids, show me your Tiger Pride, they know it's being respectful, responsible, and safe.
Okay.
It's just really caught on. I mean, it doesn't take long. And for our kindergartners, we'll show a video today, but you can see the kindergartners, our first time we sing the Tiger Pride song, they're kind of like, oh, I don't know about this. And then by the middle of the year, or even the second month, they've got it, and it's really catchy. Once you hear it, you'll keep singing it.
So it starts to mean something to them.
Yeah,
it kind of
it really
becomes
does.
a part of their normal day, or how they react, respond, act, or different things like that.
Absolutely.
How about from a parent perspective? I mean, obviously parents are a big part of what we're trying to do, and the more engagement we can get from them, the better. What do we share? What have we shared with parents? How do we get them involved and up to speed, if you will, with PBIS?
And so that is one of our areas that our team that meets on a regular basis. That is one of the areas we want to improve in, is how we can involve parents. And so at conferences, we did offer an opportunity for parents to come in and just learn a little bit more about PBIS. And then we've also sent home information that just explains some of those things that we just talked about, what it is, how does it work, and why it's important, those kinds of things. Our hope in the future is to, again, improve that, how we can involve parents and have that a bridge between home and school in terms of the language and the expectations as well.
Very cool. How do we know if it's working? Well, you talked a little bit earlier about collecting data, sort of taking a look at things, and I'm paraphrasing there, but how do we know if it's working? What difference does it have, do you feel that it's made in Parkside?
Definitely, and so she hasn't even seen this yet, but I ran our behavior incident report here for February, which we're not quite to the end. But you can see in November, these are the number of incidents we have. So we have minor behavior incidents and major behavior incidents. And so the minor ones are just quick little pieces of paper that we ask teachers to fill out if there are examples or incidents of students not exhibiting that Tiger Pride.
Okay.
And so if they accumulate, 10 of them, then they would come to the office and we would look more at some sort of an intervention. But some of it's just, it was an incident and we're going to move on, but we want to record that so that we can see what areas we need to work on, but then also we can see our improvement over time. And so in November, we had 100 of those minor behavior incidents.
Yep.
In February so far, we've only had 9.
Wow.
So
significant.
it does take some time to get everything in place and to teach those expectations, but we went from 100 in November to 43 in December to 29 in January, and now we're down to 9 with a few days left here in February. So definitely makes a difference, and that's why it's important to collect that data so that you can really see. I mean, I think we can feel that just walking through the hallways, but this you can actually really see the numbers.
And it really, and maybe you don't measure this, but it really gives all of our students, and we know that we have quite a few students at Parkside, but it gives all of our students some common language, terminology, some things that, if they see something going on, they can say that's not being respectful or that's not being safe or whatever, and that's really important in today's world as well. Other than ways to reach out to parents, what do you see as ways that we can improve our PBIS program at Parkside?
I think that, we had just talked about the data and utilizing that better. That's one of those foundational pieces of PBIS is using data to make decisions. And so really it's using that, but also, sharing that data with our staff and even with parents to show what a difference PBIS is making. And so I think we can do a better job with that. We also plan to align our report card with these PBIS expectations so that parents will get a report of students being respectful, responsible, and safe, and how they're doing with that in the school. We have had kind of a variety of different social skills that have been listed on the report card, but we really feel like it would make sense to align it with what these expectations are. The lunchroom continues to be a challenge, and I think that's probably with about any school. But we're still working on how to get more out of PBIS in terms of how that impacts the lunchroom. I don't know, what else would you say, Abby, areas where we could?
I would say, I think the data, you pretty much covered. The biggest thing that I think we could probably improve on is just really sharing the data and the numbers with, all of the stakeholders that we have here at Parkside.
And I think the other thing we want to do too is to do some videos, just for examples of what that looks like. We've really, we'll get there, and we've kind of started some of those, but it's just the time to do that a lot of times. So, but we'll get it done.
Baby steps.
Yes, yes.
Is this something, do you think, that parents could almost implement at home as well? I mean, have conversations with their Parkside age children about being responsible, being respectful, being safe, and what that might look like at home as well, and that consistency might be something that would be beneficial also.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And our goal for next year is to send home that information sheet, but also the matrix so that they can put that up on their refrigerator and like you said, even to model that language at home, but then also talk about what that looks like at home.
Very good. Anything else, ladies, that you want to add about PBIS or things happening at Parkside in general?
It's just a really fun program to run, and it's just fun to see everything unfold and see everything work.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the biggest impact that PBIS has is just the overall culture of the school. It really does impact staff and students as well. So I feel like it's had a really positive effect in that regard.
Super. Well, I appreciate you taking time to record the segment. Again, I'm Scott Munson, superintendent here in Marshall, and glad to have Darcy Love and Abby Lisi with us from Parkside talking about PBIS and some of the great things going on. It was interesting to me to hear about the third year of implementation and kind of getting organized with a committee or a team and growing that program, and excited to see how it grows in the future. Thank you, ladies, for your work, not just on PBIS, but just with everybody at Parkside in general. And if you have any questions about PBIS in your child or children's schools, reach out to the office. We have at some form It might look a little different, but we have a version of PBIS in almost all of our buildings, and it's been a conversation that I know has been really exciting for our administrators. So if you want to learn more about PBIS, whether it be at Parkside or Westside or the high school, middle school, or Maytech, reach out to the school office. And if you have any questions about anything going on, feel free to contact the district office. It's an exciting time of the year. February's coming to an end. And then we'll roll into March and certainly get busy with our assessment season and just trying to get geared up for next year. So I hope your day is a great one. Again, thank you to Darcy and Abby for being here, and have a good rest of the day.